Hey, what's up? This your boy Elijah. Have a Humble Dad podcast, obviously, but I wanted to start something a little different to have a conversation with individuals about their worldviews and how things are going in their life and how do they arrive to those decisions. And so, I partnered with a young man by the name of Independent POV or Byron, as he goes by on Facebook, and we got together and we're going to dialogue to come to resolutions and not just have conversations. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce them all, or they'll introduce themselves to you. Right? We got Mr. Independent POV, we got
Yo,
AJ, and we got
What's good?
Ara. You know what I'm saying? So we'll start with my section. We're gonna go from Independent POV. You introduce yourself, AJ, and then Liara, and I'm gonna put myself on mute.
okay. How y'all guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? Byron Spellman, also go by Independent POV. That's my podcast on Anchor. Please follow and subscribe. And to the next person.
Apparently, I'm the next person. So, I'm AJ Miles. I'm an author. I used to hoop. I played with N1 for like 10 years. I've done motivational speaking for about 10 years. I do music. We just produced like I think four albums in the last year. If you want to check them out. Yeah, I've done relationship podcasts. I've done all kind of podcasts. So it should be fun, man. I enjoy having dope conversations. I think this is what I'm saying. I think it's way too many debates, not enough conversations. And debates you're trying to win, and conversations you're trying to understand. So I'd rather have those conversations rather than debates.
You're on mute, Miss Liara.
Hi,
Hello.
Liara Ali Arjona here. Born and raised in Brooklyn all my life. First daughter, wife, mother of two. I'm also an entrepreneur and I'm a student of naturopathic medicine, currently getting my master's, and very much into building community and all for that and all for this conversation. I'm happy to be here.
That's what's up. Well, I appreciate y'all being here. I wanted to have a dialogue once again, like I said, that we can actually get some resolution done because I've been on several different places to watch, and as AJ alluded to, there's a lot of conversation of arguing. It's kind of like a ESPN show, basically, where there's a lot of yelling and going back and forth, right? But I'm gonna ask Byron if you could, independent. What was going to be the first topic that you wanted to discuss that we had disagreed with? You remember?
Honestly, it was about, I believe, about the idea of making money. About the situation of, I was telling you things that school should have taught, far as learning how to sell, how to be an entrepreneur, how to market, etc., or like Shopify or FBLA, because that's like everything's online now.
Mm.
I felt like school should not be right now teaching that to just basic everyday learning thing that's been repeatedly learned over and over and over for countless generation. And I guess your argument came from, why can't the parents teach them that? So, and I was like, kind of like, yeah, they could, but they went to the same system. So it's either, for me, it's like, how could they also be taught or learn about that situation, even though they've been in the same system? Because and plus, like, it will be up to them to unlearn something to learn something new, and then teach it to their kids. So that was mine.
That's what's up. So who wanted to be the first to chime in on that? The statement. Can you remember what you listed out? There was well, you did list them all out already, but um, your
Um,
statement was simply saying that the school should teach basically economics as
yes.
well as entrepreneurship, and and then there was another thing in there I can't remember, but I'm gonna start with Liara. What is your take on that schools should be responsible for teaching economics as well as entrepreneurship, and then any other topics that he alluded to.
I think that's like a no-brainer, right? I feel like, um, first of all, the education, the system of education implemented in America is flawed, and we know this from the get, right? And because of this, we're not ever going to be educated on what we need to be educated on. And they also make it so that the elites, so to speak, have and maintain the power, right? So they're not going to intentionally teach us and educate the little people down here about things they should know. They should know, like having sufficient financial literacy to be a functionable adult, how to pay your taxes, how to save, what basic stuff. They won't even teach you about. Now they won't even have like um courses about technology in general available to you, because they don't want the masses to have this information easily accessible to us. They don't want us to understand everything. A lot of what's happening now as well, even with like this idea of basic, like just basic knowledge of how your body functions. A lot of people don't even retain that knowledge because it's like from high school, like, basic biology and stuff. And then they go about their lives getting whatever jobs they get, and that information completely goes out the door because it's not really like stressed as something important. And then as you get older, doctors just start throwing terminologies in your face, and then you're like, what do you mean? And then you have to depend on the doctor for everything because you don't really understand your body, you don't understand yourself. So it's the same concept when it comes to like financial literacy and all these other subtopics, right? So I think that it's absolutely necessary that we like sort of demand this to be incorporated into curriculums and into like have it available at colleges, especially um, historically black colleges. I think we should make sure that these things are accessible. The the education is there for us to have access to, because if not, then how will we progress? Knowledge is power. Comes back to that at the end of the day.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you a question in a minute, but I want to hear AJ's take.
Well, Percy said knowledge is power, and it's not. Knowledge is power only if you apply it. So the application of knowledge is power. I can know everything and read every book on the planet, but if I never apply it, then there's no power to it. Um, so you need to know things, but you need to know how to implicate it into the society. Second, what he was saying about like as far as the school should be teaching, what is the purpose of being an American? Is to understand capitalistic society, right or wrong, right? We want to understand the system that we are involved in so we can learn how to win and make sure that society keeps going. If we don't teach people real estate, taxes, um, credit, all the things that we need to learn, then we're not teaching kids what they need to learn. What they're doing is indoctrinating children. They're teaching them critical race theory, they're teaching them gender theory, they're teaching them that, like I work in schools now, that people around you are making you sick and climate change. These four things could psychologically break any child possible. It could break any human possible, actually. So all these things are all like damaging the education system. The education system is actually full of shit. It's not really teaching kids what they need to know because at the end of the day, me as a black man, I don't care if I'm white, black, whatever. I don't care if you don't like me. Just teach me the system and show me how to win. If you show me how to win, I'm gonna win. You know what I'm saying? You teach me the game, I'm gonna win. It's the only thing that matters to me. So what I do when it comes to these things, me and my mom create like programs and stuff that we teach kids how to win. We teach kids stocks. My mother teaches my nieces and nephews and my little cousins. We have a class where we teach them about real estate. We teach them about credit. We teach them about investing in stocks. And my mom puts their name on like stocks when they get older, and she invests in the things that they think they should invest in. She has them look into things, and that's how you build generational wealth. When you leave it to the parents, this is what happens. But the reality is, I grew up in a good home. I had both of my parents. My dad worked at Ford my whole life. My mother didn't get a job till I got out of college. So when those things happen, you have a good situation, you have ability to give back. But the reality is 71% of our homes are single mothers. So they don't have the opportunity to literally like, okay, give me some rest and allow my kids to learn this. So if the school's not teaching them, what they're teaching them is that they're different, they're special and all this other stuff. They're not teaching them anything that they need to know. I think it's a responsibility of an American education, not just an education in period. We're supposed to be the best country, supposed to be the freest country, supposed to be all these things. If we're going to be all these things, then we need to live up to these things. Accountability is big. Um, Last time I checked, Spider-Man is one of my favorite comic books of all time. And Uncle Ben told Spider-Man that with great power comes great responsibility. If you want to look in the Bible, to whom much is given, as much is required. If you give me all these things and you give me all these responsibilities and all that, then it's required that I teach these things. So I agree that the education system is full of shit because I don't know if y'all understand that the AG just dropped something that anybody who's questioning the education system as a parent are domestic terrorists. So the fact that they're trying to indoctrinate kids to literally live off the government, so there will be, if you're living off somebody, what is the word? Submissive? That's not submissive because submission is not a bad thing. When women hear that's a bad thing. When you're living off the government, it's you're literally a liability. Like at the end of the day, and they're not
You
giving you a
mean
chance to like,
dependent? You mean
huh?
depend? Are you saying a dependent?
Dependent, thank you. That's a good word right there. You're dependent on the government. So we don't want that, but that's what they're teaching the kids. So what they're doing is trapping their mind state in the 8-year-old. So when they get 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, they still have 8-year-old mindsets where they feel like the government needs to do everything for them. And that's a problem. We should be teaching kids entrepreneurship. We should like at the end of the day, when I was teaching, I was giving kids The Alchemist to read. Why was I giving The Alchemist, right? The Alchemist was something to make you find yourself. You know, Santiago went on a journey. You know what I'm saying? He went for his self worth. He went for his personal legend, which is his journey. So you need to find purpose and meaning. And I think we're doing a disservice to the children right now, just allowing this education system to like tell them that they're like victims and all this other stuff. And I don't like it. And like I said, I work in the schools and I don't like it, but it's cool. It's really not cool. I'm just saying it's cool because it sounds good, but
Okay, so let me chime in. So the reason why I disagree, well, background on me, I was a middle school math teacher for 11 years
mhm.
in 5 different school districts in Texas. And I was also an adjunct professor for about 7 or 8 years here in Texas as well. And so we were at one point, and I was a math teacher, right? So they mandated us to teach financial literacy. But financial literacy only started maybe like 7 years ago. Okay. Um, and so what they did was they would put it at the last part of the year, and teachers were not teaching it. Okay. So, and there was no way there was, I guess I would have to ask y'all, how would you get somebody to teach financial literacy in the school? Secondly, why would you want, if you're complaining about uh, a system, why would you want that system to help you? Right. So, and so, for example, if you're saying, I believe that they should teach the children financial literacy, and you have no way of making sure that that happens, That I don't know how you would make the school system do that, because the majority of people that want financial literacy do not go to PTA meetings, do not go to the board meetings, do not even vote in a way that would establish that there be a different superintendent, right? So you have to change the dynamics of your dialogue with a people group that totally disagree, like they vote one way because that's what they know. So I'm saying that history shows that the parent is actually the better teacher. That's why you had interns, or you had I can't think of the word, but you had if the father was a carpenter, then he would teach his son carpentry. Or if he did not was not able to be a carpenter, then he would send him somewhere else to be a carpenter, right? Me and my late wife, we've been homeschooling for 4 years because we saw that that the system is flawed, as you all stated. So it's as if I say Burger King doesn't have good customer service. Everybody know that, right? Down here in Texas for sure, right? But why am I going back if I'm displeased with their service? But what you're saying currently now is saying like the public school system is flawed, but I'm gonna keep sending my kid to the school that's flawed. Go ahead.
Okay,
So
my bad. I had
yeah.
to get talking about. So I 100% agree with you saying that the system is flawed. I thought y'all was asking, should it be necessary and should it be required, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I agree with homeschooling your kids. I got most of my friends homeschooling their kids because the system is so flawed. It's like it's a waste of time, and they're teaching kids a whole lot of things that don't need to be taught. But if it should be required, I'm saying for the better of the country and the better of the Americans in this country, it should be required to teach financial literacy. It should be required to teach real estate. It should be all these things matter when you become an adult. That's what I'm saying. That's my argument. It's not that the system's flawed. Why would I trust the system? I don't. But I'm saying if something should be required, it shouldn't be critical race theory. It shouldn't be gender theory. It shouldn't be all of these dumb things that we're teaching kids right now. It should literally be how to become a better American and be better in economic like society. So that's all I'm saying. I agree. I don't want to keep going back to anything that's showing me that it's flawed. I agree with everything. I agree with your whole premise. But if it's something that should be demanded and it should be like implemented, those are the things I'm saying that should be implemented. That's all I'm saying.
I understand your point. Go ahead, Liara.
Let me just interject real quick. I just wanted to say I understand like both aspects, right? Both point of views, because it's both valid, and you truly cannot expect quality education, quality anything from something that is already like rotten at its core, right? So that makes complete sense. Like we have to take responsibility and accountability for for ourselves, for our community, for our kids. If we don't, then we cannot ever expect anyone else to do the same. And we can't expect that, period, right? Because again, flawed from the core. So we have to take initiative in this process. And I completely understand what you're saying when it comes to like teaching that, like you have to be the one to teach, right? And that's what I realized with this homeschooling thing that's happening now, like not homeschooling, but like forced homeschooling with the remote learning, right? We are like the parents are pushed to be involved, and it's throwing them, and they don't know how to handle it, and that's bad. That's horrible. As parents, we should know how to handle our kids. We should not be putting it all on the teachers and all on the government and all on the system for them to help indoctrinate our kids. Like, now they should know the difference between what they're being taught and what is the truth, right? So if that's not being done at home, then we're failing, period. It doesn't matter what the government is doing. So like it's what should be done, but we can't expect what should be done ever. You can't depend on any human to do what they're supposed to do, period. That's my view on life. Humans are fallible, they're faulty, they'll always fail at something and everything if you give them the chance. So if you know this going forward in your life, you can't expect the best, right? Expect the worst and do what you can for yourself, and do it the best that you can. And especially when it comes to our kids, because when it comes to our kids, they are the key to everything, right? And that's what is lacking now these days. This goes into so many other topics. This goes into abortion, this goes into like father absence, this goes into everything, right? So we can get into it.
We
But
will.
that's, yeah.
This is just day one. I would like to ask Byron, what made you feel like that statement was um, a legitimate statement to say that the school should be doing these things?
Because like look at the college graduates of male. They decreased. Like they ain't going no school. They do it's like they ain't going to school. And that's dangerous. Like there's a whole article about it. They said the decrease rate of males is going down. It's like it's just plummeting. And they're saying like the more this happens, the dangerous America is going to get, because you got a whole bunch of men that really just, it's not to say they giving up. It's just like they don't see no point. It's pointless. They see it. It's flawed. The jig is up. You know what I'm saying? It's like I feel like they're a Samson and they're holding the two pillars and they like F it. If we have to uh tear the whole system down, they'll kill themselves along with it. So it's like we
Hmm.
got a lot of Samsons out here, like, you know what I'm saying? If we got to tear it down, hey, tear it down, ladies, because y'all the one going to school.
I like that
Interesting,
analogy.
interesting perspective. Go ahead, Leora.
Yeah, I like that analogy that you use, because it does seem that way, right? It's pretty accurate. Like it's a pretty accurate depiction of what seems to be going on. But I also think it's it can be a smart move. You can see it on both ends, okay? Because we know that there's a level of indoctrination when it comes to certain topics and things like this. You and you separate yourself from that as you get older. You know that you got your basic level of education, which is your high school diploma or whatever it is, and then you go further up and get your bachelor's and associate's bachelor's. But you know that you can learn some type of trade, and you can excel in that trade. If people are coming to these realizations and they know that they can do something to the best of their ability outside of school, I would encourage them 100% to do it, and really commit to doing it. But commit to a level of expertise, profession,
Mm.
and incorporate a level of professionalism that is so impressive, to someone outside looking in. I think that's most important when you encourage the youth to do this, and really go, not necessarily stay in the system. There were so many lawyers and doctors, right, that graduated, black lawyers and doctors, okay? What is happening right now in the system? Nothing. We don't have a stance in anything. You see now black doctors and lawyers sitting right where they shouldn't be sitting, and speaking on behalf of people that should not have a voice in our community. They're actually bringing these people into our community, like it's almost like infiltration, right? They're literally taking people from our own community and putting them in the system, having them learn all these things, and they grow up, they grow their career in that same system, and thinking that this is the truth, and then start bringing more, like it's sort of like luring more of our people into
So
the
are you
same
saying so,
system.
Leora? Let me ask you. So are you stating that it would be better for people, men, not to go to college and
No,
not become a
no, no,
doctor?
no. You know what exactly, this is exactly what I'm saying. Then this is what I'm doing. I am going to college right now. I'm learning what I have to learn, right? But I'm separating what I'm not going to apply, especially to my community. I'm not going to destroy them with certain information that's given to me, because I
Okay,
know that certain information is toxic. So, but a lot of people are not separating. They're not separating. They're going in. They're taking everything, and then they're growing in their careers, and then they're kind of like drawing
I
more of
got you,
our
AJ.
community back into. So what I'm doing personally, and I can only speak so that other people can understand, like have a better idea of what I'm talking about. So
Okay,
I want to become a psychologist,
yeah.
but I believe a lot of what you learn in psychology is pure crap blah, and that's
Yeah, my
that's
wife graduated with her psychology degree,
I
so I get
it's
you.
a lot.
Let me get, yeah, I feel you. Let me get to AJ. Then I'm gonna come
Yeah.
back up to you Byron, because you trying to get off on, you didn't really answer the question fully, but I'm gonna come back to you. Go ahead, AJ.
So I agree with everything she's saying. I think she's missing valid data points. The data points are with 71% single mothers in a home. So therefore, for single mothers in a home, and single mothers,
You speaking
71% is,
specifically of all races, or you just talking
or I'm
about
speaking on
black?
the black community. I really don't care about
Okay,
all races. And that
okay,
might sound fucked up, but it's the truth.
that does.
But it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? So
Go.
um, I'm speaking on 71% of the black race, right? You're saying that single mothers, they're working, right? So they don't really have a time to homeschool their children. You know what I'm saying? They're like literally the 71% is people who were single mothers before marriage. It's not divorcees, it's not widows, it's not any of that. It's a single one, it's a 71% before marriage. So they don't have time to literally raise their children and do the things that you're asking them to do. They actually trust in the education system. Second, when you look at those
Before
numbers,
you finish trying to make a second point.
yeah, I'm gonna make a couple points.
Okay, well let me address the first point
Okay,
before
I
you
got
move
you.
to, okay. So um the initial part was, should it be taught in school, right? And then you say, well, because you only care about black people. Well, just know that everybody's affected by education. It's not just
It
black
is.
people, right? So and so next is that I have known single mothers that have homeschooled. The thing about people in general, like people that are go getters, they figure it out.
How many go getters do you know? That's a rare
Who
percentage.
me? Who me?
You
That's
might
all
know a
that.
lot because your
But
circle.
that's what you just asked me though.
Yeah, yes.
How
What I'm
did I
saying, your
know?
circle, your friends are who you are. Your five friends are who you are going to be in the future, right or
Okay.
wrong, right?
Right. Yeah.
But the reality of it is, most of the people are just trying to survive.
And that's the problem. That's what we're talking about now. That's why we're having the conversation.
But how do you
So how?
not survive if you're not making bad decisions? I mean, I
I,
get that's a relationship
I suppose.
conversation when it comes to women and making bad decisions and getting pregnant at the wrong time. Though that's a
Right.
relationship conversation.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm addressing to you is that a single mother
Hmm.
or a single father can figure out how to homeschool their kid. They having to do it now,
They
and
are, but the
they're
majority
being
is not.
what it doesn't matter. You got to listen. I mean, I understand that part, but they are having to figure it out. Those that want it to take place are getting it done. Okay, is what I'm saying.
What do
When
you think
you
that percentage is?
It doesn't matter about percentage,
Why doesn't it?
because the people, even if it's a low percentage, it says that it can be
So
done.
are you saying the exception should be the rule?
What I'm saying is, too many people complain about what needs to be done when they're the reason, they're the purpose, they're the person that can get it done. So what I'm simply
I
saying,
don't
for example,
disagree with that.
everybody could write a book. Do you
Yes,
agree or disagree with that?
I agree. I don't disagree with
Okay.
what you're saying.
Okay. So what is the percentage of people that actually write a book?
A very small
It's
percentage.
very low, but everybody can write a book if they sat down and wrote a page a day. How do I know? I'm currently writing a dissertation. I thought that I couldn't write it, but and then when I just started studying and writing, I saw that it could be done. So I am saying that a single mother that means she can't work at Burger King, obviously, right? Now, I'm not talking about starting out as that. I mean, we could talk about the why she became a single mother all day, but I'm saying I know at least 2 or 3 single mothers that have homeschooled their kids. Also, you're going to have to, like, I'm a single parent right now, and I'm having to use other people to help me with that job.
I
Is
agree
what
with you.
I'm saying.
I'm gonna ask you this: are you dealing in probabilities or possibilities?
I'm always dealing in possibilities.
Yeah, yeah. But I
Probabilities
deal in
don't.
probabilities, and probabilities say that possibilities is hope, but probabilities say that other people don't have this time, and they don't have the time, the effort, or anything.
I'm gonna come to you, Liara. I'm gonna go up to Byron, and then I'm gonna come to you because
Okay.
he the one that broke the point. I feel what you're saying, AJ. Go ahead, Mr. Byron, who started it all with this question.
Like I said, the system broken, and I feel like the school system should be involved in re-educating our kids to this online currency that we are in now, because we still locked in this 9 to 5, this going to the this going this like look at where we at now. Like
Yeah,
we can do that. We're literally working it from home.
yeah. So why
Whoever
do you
thought?
think the public school? That's my question. If you don't like the public school, why are you gonna go to it to say that they need to change? Like, it's their business.
Right,
You're going to a business and tell them they need to change their business, right? So
right.
why do they? What is it in for them to change their business model? Is my question to you.
I mean, if you want the people to continue to be in your system, then it's best for you as a consumer to help the customer out. Because like if you want my child to continue to go to your school, then you need to change. If not, I just gonna take either I'm gonna keep my child or I'm gonna go somewhere else that's teaching the curriculums that I want them to teach.
That rarely happens.
Huh?
That doesn't really happen.
That doesn't really
Unless
happen.
no, I've been in public education for a while. A parent, I mean, you can see it. I mean, parents, only the parents that actually care about the things that are being taught to their kid will take their kid out of school because they see that there is no value at that school. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
But I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Liara.
okay.
To address that point too, the government will only do and only invest in what will benefit them in the long term. So they won't necessarily give in that easily. Like, oh, let me please this little community over here. Is just a little couple parents over here. Like, no, they don't care that much. So again, we can't really expect too much. We can't expect too much. We have to take the initiative again and start from home. That also ties into what AJ um, was speaking about. When you want to, like, you can't have you mentioned also something about like the relationship convo, like it being a relationship thing with women and stuff like that, like, and how, like, that's a relationship thing, but really that's a morality thing. It's
Mm.
deeper than a relationship. It's a morality thing. I think society is lacking in morality, and I think morality also ties into the root of the issue that we are having. And
Something
it's
about public school.
it's this ties into public school, okay, but it also goes back to the homeschooling and being able to
Okay.
homeschool and stuff like that, right? So when we were speaking about if the woman would be able, like, working women who are single mothers would be able to teach their kids, and homeschool them. Maybe they majority of them don't, right? Like you say, but it goes back to what is being taught at home. Period. It doesn't like it at the end of the day. Yes, majority of children will be educated in a public school, right?
Mm.
But what are you going to do as a parent at home is what really matters. That's what matters when it comes to how they're going to retain the information. Their environment, their home environment, is going to affect how they're going to retain it. What you're teaching them is going to affect how what they're being taught is being perceived. So like you have to dig deep into all levels. And when you go to the root of the issue, then everything else follows. Everything else falls into place. The root of the
Hmm.
issue is the home. If the home is not in a good condition at all, parent it's a single parent home, there's emotional trauma, physical trauma, all this that's taken into account. Don't expect the child to come out okay and learn what they're supposed to learn and be in a functional adult. It's not going to
So do
happen.
you think? So do you think? So are you saying that? Because the question is, should all of these things be taught in the school? So you, be, I guess, be required. So are you saying that they should or they should not be required in the school?
I'm saying of course it should, but it
And I'm saying to
shouldn't
you,
matter.
and I'm saying to you, based on your own statement, you just said that something can't be trusted. So I get it's kind of like
And I'm
should
saying
Burger King like should Burger King? I'm sorry, should Burger King have great customer service? Yes, they should. Right. That's what you're saying. These things should be taught. Is that where we at? These things should
that
be
it
taught.
should be,
Okay.
but it shouldn't matter if
Okay.
it is, because if they have a proper foundation at home,
Okay.
then they know and they have the ability to search beyond and look beyond what is given to them. And
I
they
agree with
would be
that.
able to do that throughout their entire life, not just in school, but as adults. So if
I
if
agree with
it's
that.
not, you know what I mean? Like if it's not being done at home from the get, don't expect them to get into high school and understand the difference between what they're being what
Yeah,
what is good information, what's bad information. They have to be taught that from young, like
that
literally
makes sense. That
in
makes
in
sense. What
utero,
that
yeah.
makes sense. AJ, would you about to say something, or Byron was about to say something? Byron, what do you have to say to that? Because we're almost done for the evening on this one topic.
Um,
You still
all
so you still agree? You still think that we should be trying to make public schools teach these fundamental things to our students?
yeah, I mean, we're done with the industrial age. Now we're on the online age. So it's time to adapt.
So then why would that I think that goes against your argument. If things are more online, then the parent has more resources to actually homeschool their kid.
Yeah, but are
And
they
kids
gonna that's
and
if they're gonna do that.
okay, so you're saying you want to hold the government responsible, but not the parent.
I would like the parent to do it, but
Okay.
if it would benefit the government if they want to continue to have that money go into those industries
Okay. Let me ask you this. Does anybody know how long public school has been around? Like the
forever.
current like the what's forever? Give me a number.
Oh, bro, longer than I've been alive.
Well, obviously longer than you being alive.
um, anybody? AJ, Laura.
Um, I understand everything and I agree with everything y'all saying, right? Like I totally agree that it's the responsibility because I'm 100% on accountability. It's the responsibility of the parents, but we got to realize I worked in DCS. These parents aren't good parents. So if you saying should the education system be teaching this? This is the same question the LBGT community asked. It's the same question that the Democrats asked. It's the same question that all these people ask that controlling education right now. And now we got gender theory in education, we got critical race theory in education, we got climate change in education, we got the COVID system in education, and all they did is implement it. Why can't we do the same exact thing? Why can't we do it? That's my thing. Like, if we sit down and say we're not for this shit and figure out something that can actually implement something that makes us a better people, the real estate, the economics, the everything that can make us a better people, then why shouldn't we force it? Because they did and they got it. So
And
so
I
the
can answer that question
okay, I'm listening.
because it doesn't help their bottom line, as Liara had alluded to. Like a business will not, as you know, a business doesn't need to change anything if it's not affecting their bottom line. And so when you say yes,
So
it
what is their
should,
bottom line?
their bottom line is if we're talking about the government, it's money.
So are we not the most influential people they lean on every single time? I used to tell
Who
people all
is
the
we?
time, Black
Who
lives
is
don't matter, Black
who?
influence matters.
Who is we? What do you
Black
mean?
people.
What's the so? Ask that question again. Is black people what?
Are we not their bottom line? We're the most influential. Influence matters more than anything in
Are we?
society.
We're the most influential. Like, give me an example. What you mean by influential?
They copy everything we do. This is why they need LeBron James. This is why they need Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B. They need anybody who can influence the society. This is why they need it. We are the most influential. We are the cool. We bring everything to the table. So at the end of the day, if we're not the most
Mm, so
you
I
don't
would
believe that?
I I
I have
have
a question though.
I have bits
Before
and
we get
pieces
too
of it. Go ahead.
far,
Yeah. Before. Yeah. Yeah.
sorry. When
No. No.
when
You're
you
good.
said AJ, that we could do the same thing, what does that mean?
What I mean is, if the LGBT community was able to implement gender theory into the schools,
You might have
if
to use other words for the YouTube algorithm.
alphabet community was able to implement the gender theory into the schools, if we're the left was implement, because critical theory alone has nothing to do with critical race theory, but it's actually the same thing. My phone died. Of course, it did that.
Oh, so his phone is gonna go. Okay. So that was a good question that you asked, Liara. The
So his
things that
question,
are
so his answer was just like, if they are influencing us, then we can influence them.
yeah, that's what he's saying. He said
Okay.
that black people are the most influential,
Right.
right?
So he's saying, so if they're implementing all these things and trying and influence and attempting to influence us, then we should attempt to influence them. But I think that's just like I said, I feel like whatever, if if they do throw these things at us, it shouldn't matter. Like, it shouldn't matter at the end of the day if the child or the student is being it has a solid foundation at home. That's that,
100%
that was my
agreed.
point.
I've seen that to be very true as a teacher, as I stated, that the students that had a parent that was on them, even though they may have been a single parent, they were considered at-risk kid, but that parent that was very involved in that kid's life, they could tell the difference between that don't make sense and that this does make sense, right? So that's why I was trying to explain to Byron is that um, you're targeting the wrong person to say things need to be taught. No, a parent needs to learn financial literacy. A parent needs to understand how to write a check. A parent needs to know how to read. Yes, you should teach that in public school, but that's not what public school was set up to do. It was literally set up to create a worker, not a business person. So you're telling the system that is doing exactly what it's designed to do that it needs to do something different. You were designed to do something, Byron. So you're telling me I need to tell you to do something different when you're designed to do something specifically?
I wouldn't say I'm designed, but I get what you're saying. For as the school itself was designed, but it needs to change its design, which I know it. I understand they won't change it.
Well, why does it need to change it?
Far as if you want better outcomes, far as making your country better, then it needs to change.
Who wants to say that? Who you think that wants to? Who do you think feels like something's wrong with the country?
Apparently half the country feels there's something wrong with the country.
And you know what most of those people are doing?
Either
A good percentage of those people. You know what they're doing?
far as either they're trying
Education,
to
as far as education,
far as education wise,
because that's the topic. Yeah.
right. Um Either they are trying to pass try to make statements online, or just staying mute about it.
A good percentage of them are homeschooling their kids,
Okay.
as opposed to trying to go fight a system that, as you say, not going to change. They took it in their own hands, and that's exactly what the answer is. If you have a problem with something, and it's not being resolved, you should take it in your own hands and make it do what it do. Go ahead, Miss Liara.
Um, Not to compare people and communities, but if you really just,
But you're about to.
I'm about to. If you look at the Hasidic Jewish community, okay,
Okay.
if you're from Brooklyn, you would understand exactly what I mean. They have their
Okay.
own sector, okay. They have their own hospital. They have their own schooling system. They do not play with their people. And even if they have like literal like crime happening within their community, only their community knows. Only they handle it within their community. That is the most they have the most discipline that I've ever seen. Like I've never seen anything like that before. Like I to the point where they don't even depend on external justice system. That's insane, but that's so admirable. I feel like we can get to that point, and I feel like it would be so much more beneficial if we did, because we will benefit from it. We will benefit tremendously, especially when it comes to our protection. Like crime handled by our community will be so much would be handled so much better than crime being handled by the
Well,
government.
that's what Crips and Bloods was about back in the day.
That's exactly what I was getting to, because I said this before, and I vented about this multiple times on Facebook, like just aggravated. I was so tired of hearing that same type of rhetoric, like, hearing I grew up on Flatbush in Brooklyn. That's predominantly Crip territory, you could say. And but there will be like, what do you call it when there's like a group of Crips that's different from a group of Crips? Like I don't know how to I don't know the technical like name for it,
I
but
wasn't in gangs. I don't know.
yeah, but I don't know either. But I should know because I've been around. I was around it all my life. But it's like they're like, so my street was like a group of Crips. Like they would have their own type of their own title or name or branch. It would be like a branch,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And then that branch would beef with the other branch of Crips on the
Okay.
other
Yeah. Yeah.
street,
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
point where they actually shot up my block and almost killed somebody. And I'm just
Right.
like, y'all really doing this right now? Like
Right.
almost killed a child. And I'm like, this you're supposed to be protecting us. So like one day I bumped up somebody on the train, and he was venting to me about how he's a Crip, and at that moment I was livid. I was just like, I don't care about what you're going through, because you're supposed to be protecting us. You're not supposed to be beefing with another Crip, with another Crip.
Hmm.
Like y'all supposed to be fighting for us, for
So you're saying
especially.
basically, if we would work together and
Yes,
stop
of
worrying
course.
about other people working for or in our favor,
Absolutely.
then
Yes, we need
it would make
more.
more sense. And that's what I was trying to tell Byron. Like you're asking a system that's not in our favor. I'm just talking about people. Like I see us as a human race. I mean, I do cater to, to black people, you know what I'm saying? But, if everybody does well, then black people do well. You know what I'm saying? Because black people are part of everybody,
Some people
right?
would say
So,
like if black people do well, then everybody does well because
well, it's the
black
same thing.
it,
It's,
it,
it's,
it's
it's
they it so I think it could be an exception in this case just because wherever you go in the world, a black person can be treated like worse, especially except Africa, obviously,
yeah,
right?
but
But
that's a different thing though.
you
Like
know what I mean?
the
Like
reason,
it's
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but here though, as it relates to education,
okay, okay.
the reason why black people don't do well at education is because their parent is not caring. And my wife used to tell me, like, stop saying that parents don't care. I said, if parents cared, education would be different.
Sometimes
Because
you think it's always a care, like the care factor, or do you think it's just a lack of education? Do you think it's just ignorance, willful, or none?
listen, listen, everybody complains about the public school system. The ignorant, the intelligent, and they still send them to public school. So it means that they don't care. We prioritize the things we care about. Like ignorant, like if a parent comes home, if a kid comes home, most parents say, "How was your day?" Kid says what?
Good.
Then what does the
Right.
parent do? Then what the parent do?
Um.
Go about their business.
Yep. Go by their
Exactly.
business.
So you're
Yep.
Yeah.
telling me that parents care,
Right.
but they don't even ask them in-depth questions about the kid's
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't care. And I had this
Right.
argument with my wife online before on one of our channels. But this has been a really good dialogue. I hope we can do it again. And so I was just really, my the answer that I believe in is that parents need to uh, learn what it is that they want their kid to learn and then teach it to their kid.
Yes. Agreed.
And
That
that is how you can stop this school need to teach something,
but
because that just
that
means that you don't have to do it.
you can apply that to every. Listen, I always say if something is the truth, it can be applied universally.
Mhm.
And what you just said is a universal truth, okay? You can
100%.
apply that to literally everything. If you
Absolutely.
want your child to learn how to dance, you dance with your child. If you want your child to learn some piano, you play piano with your child and watch, and you would see how not only does it do wonders for your bond and relationship, right? In parent and child, but it also motivates the child. Like, why are you telling, as a child, think about this, like having a child mind, and this big person is telling me what to do every 5 minutes, but they're not doing anything that they're telling me to do. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't make any sense to them. So it's never going to stick with them. They're never going to have that, emotional tether to what you're saying. They're just going to be like, okay, I'm just going to do it in, like, because you're telling me to do it.
You're
So
on
it's
point
I,
with
I
that one.
completely understand that.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for joining, Miss Liara. I want Mr. Byron, who brought up this topic and was wrong about the topic, to close us out.
Um. Hey, it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's how I felt.
Did,
I
did we
mean,
did we change your mind, or you still have the same thought? Is there something that you was like, oh, okay, I did think about that? Like that's what I mean by, give us your
um,
final thoughts on the
I'm
overall
still.
discussion.
Oh well, for me, I'm middle about the situation. Y'all did bring up some because both y'all are parents anyway. So I mean, we got yeah, both y'all parents.
What they got to
So
do with anything?
we
Huh?
have the upper hand in the in the conversation.
I mean, y'all literally on the ground floor with kids, with
Okay,
generations each of your own. So
okay, I
y'all
got it.
doing the groundwork. So I'm a single guy with no kids. So I'm just going into this in a point of view where I'm just looking in and I see like, oh, this is a problem. And then y'all two parents out here and like, no, Byron, this is the problem. I'm like, okay, okay, all right.
For sure. Well, that's what's up. This has been a good. This has been a good dialogue. Hopefully, whenever somebody watches it, they're able to um, enjoy the conversation, but also see that there was a resolution and a starting point. And so that's the goal of the conversations that I have. And so I want to thank y'all for joining. Seriously curious and to be continued conversation with answers. Until next time, we out of here. And y'all can stay on for a moment. And deuces.